So, so we'll just begin by asking, have you seen the Martin Luther King video that Marianne did? There's a really
Yeah,
beautiful
a few years ago. I haven't
one.
watched it recently, no.
It's a really good one to look at, and we'll be using that on the Marianne-a-thon.
Okay.
So our secret question that we have for you is if because this, we're doing this right before the Martin Luther King holiday on the Saturday
Right.
before. So our question is, if Martin Luther King had become president, what thing do you believe would be different? What one thing do you believe would be different if Martin Luther King had become president?
Hmm. That's for me, that's kind of a broad question to respond to because first and foremost in my mind, what came to my mind was reparations. They were the serious considerations for getting reparations. He'd be driving that. If he was president right now, adding to that, I think there would be a stronger element of peace coming out of the United States of America instead of war.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. That's really perfect. And
Okay.
it's perfect. And can you say a little bit about now with Marianne running for president, how might that be related?
Oh, wow. First off, Marianne has followed Martin Luther King probably most of her adult life.
Mhm.
And you can hear it in her teachings, in her writings. I think the similarities would be profound because they both are advocates of peace. They generally take on the establishment in kind of a diplomatic, peaceful way. And I think that's really relevant to the times we're in now. So I don't know. That's a good one.
It's a good one. Okay, well, you're perfection now, Glenn. So is there anything you want to add to perfection? Feel free.
um, Yeah, I'll say this. There's no such thing as perfection. It's actually it's the imperfections that make things appear perfect. So if this
Nice.
came off as perfect, it's the imperfections that I presented that made it seem that way. If that makes any sense. No, but on Marianne, I love her. I mean, there's not a whole lot else I can say. I loved Martin Luther King. I loved a lot of the things that he stood for. Even in Martin's days, there was a lot of what would you call it? Attacks on his character and personality and all this good stuff. And it's the same way. It just shows times really haven't changed because Marianne and many others are receiving those same types of attacks. Actually, they're more, uh, what would be the word? Uh, violent in a sense, upon the person. I don't mean like actual violence, but verbal violence and defaming of their character and such. I mean, that hasn't changed. It's like if you that I mean, between the two of them, the similarities are many. I'll say that. I'll say that. Yeah, I probably said too much. I got carried away.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's a topic. And actually, Glenn, I think, when we do the Marianne-a-thon, there should be opportunities for you to speak more about that connection between Marianne and Martin Luther King, because those of us who are, putting this together will be
Mhm.
having little spots here and there to share, things around specifically that connection between Martin Luther King and
Oh
Marianne.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'd say that in my mind, Marianne is there with Martin Luther King as far as status, social status. I'll say she's right there with an impact. I must say with Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Malcolm X, JFK, Abraham Lincoln, and all these people that I mentioned. They've all had some faults, political mistakes, and errors in the whole 9 yards. But at the time of their leadership, it is exactly what the world needed. And right now, we need the spirit and love of a leader like Marianne that she brings. So I just don't. It's a no brainer for me. I can go with that.
This is beautiful. Reed, do you think we should, just play around a little bit more, or do you think we should end it here because of the editing and our goal? Where are
Oh,
you?
I just have one question that um is more kind of personal, which is when you think back, like in your own history, where did Martin Luther King, your awareness of him, where did that
Whew.
start? Where did that blossom? You
Mm.
know,
It's hard for me to pin it down as far as time, years. Why? I'd say I was in, God, what was it? High school, maybe? Maybe I don't know. I was young. It's kind of hard for me to. Oh man, it seems like I remember sitting in class when we got the news. What class that was, I don't know. But any about, I don't know. That's uh, I remember, even though I can't remember the times, I remember that I was astounded that he spoke so eloquently and he spoke the truth, and he had no fear of stating what was needed to be heard at the time, and that was impressive. And then he did it in a state of love. And a lot of people mistake, oh, love is some kind of weakness or some fantastic craziness out there. It's not. Love is powerful. Love is strong. Love is what embodies the strength and courage in every human being that walks the planet, one way or another. But anyway, again, I get off subject.
well, that to me, that's very interesting in that, I mean, you're describing yourself at a younger age, like high school, to have a sense of that topic
Mm.
is kind of a big deal. Like, did that idea, those topics come specifically from your awareness of him? Because I don't know that that was kind of what was going through my mind at those times of my life.
You know, okay, I'm kind of like straightforward, say what's on my mind most of the time. But uh, for Black people, it was really, really, really profound for the period because around the same time you had Malcolm X and who else? I can't even think of all the others. There were so many Black leaders that were stepping forward at a time when most Black people were feeling, well, really left out. The Vietnam thing and the whole 9 yards. It's like all the other wars. You come home from the wars for fighting for your country, and you get nothing. So again, I tend to get off subject, but it was more than just Martin that gave me that awareness. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It was our society in a whole. I mean, everything that was going on from a Black perspective. I mentioned to a few people. How much time do we have? Because you guys,
We're
Well,
just
we haven't recorded for 15 minutes yet, so
oh,
you have 4 more minutes of talking time.
all right. I'm going to say this. Culturally, the cultural difference between Blacks and other races in America, there are some cultural difference that give us a different perspective of things. And for us, when Martin, Malcolm, and the whole 9 yards, when those guys stood up, yes, they were our heroes, but they also introduced us to the possibilities that are out there. I mean, we didn't get all the results we wanted, but things did get better. So, but for me, that was a time that we should have taken upon a lesson, which was together. And this applies to all society, not just Blacks, not just here in America. Together, there is absolutely nothing we cannot do. Together, there's absolutely nothing that the elites powers to be can do to us. So Marianne, I think, speaks on that. Martin spoke on that, even though he was pretty much promoting the idea of civil rights for Black people. He did speak to the populace as a whole. We're better together. How much time we got left?
You're good. You're good. I mean, I really appreciate your candor and not not holding back and talking about um perspectives from a Black person as opposed to somebody of another race within America. I think that all of those perspectives are very important. And
Thank
so I would not want to not hear yours, right? Just because of whatever reason. So yeah, thank you for answering my question and for looking back at your life and yourself in that way too, because there is I think kind of like my point is that there's some of Martin Luther King Jr. in you, in the life that has become your life after whatever experience, whatever learning you took in from him.
I agree. I agree to that. I never really thought about it, but yeah, I agree. When you said it, it resonated. I could actually see his impact on my life. So yeah, I thank you for that. I appreciate that.
It's beautiful.
I think it's important that we have an understanding of the importance of um, our history, our collective history and people
Mhm.
in our history, because
Mhm.
they do bring out a difference in us that wouldn't be there if they had not been there. But what it also tells you is that, looking into the future, whatever it is that you're doing now is having that effect on the future lives of people.
Well,
Beautiful.
I hope so. You mentioned maps, and for me, um, history and maps are similar. They basically serve the same purpose. And so when I think about history, um, from an American perspective, I'll say, from a Black perspective, I'll say, and actually, in saying that, it applies to everyone. Uh, there is absolutely no value. Actually, it's detrimental not to teach history. It may be association with maps, and you've heard it before. History is just like a map. I mean, it is. It's like on a map, you use it to find out your route, which direction you're going. In some instances, you may even find areas to avoid. And the same with history. It's all about teaching us. And I do believe that if we actually told the truth about American history, I think racism and all the other isms would tend to go down. So in my mind, that leaves one question. Okay, so what's the agenda behind this push that's going on in society today? And I don't think whatever it is, it's for the benefit of the people. I'll say that. So yeah.
Well, I think for what you just said, it depends on who's pushing, right? And
Oh,
the push that we're feeling
oh,
right now is not from the people,
no,
right?
no,
We're that what we're trying to do is get people to push back or start
exactly,
pushing
exactly,
themselves.
exactly. I
So
agree 100%. Yeah, I'm really struggling with not looking at the screen and trying to look at the camera. I don't know if that comes across, but I'm it's killing me. So
Yeah,
I'll do the best I can.
it doesn't show, Glenn. You can't
no, it doesn't show at all.
Mm-mm.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I can get going. To be perfectly honest, I'm not a person that likes to be out in the public eye, so to speak. I'd rather be working back in the background, doing my thing back there. I prefer that. But again, just because I realize the importance of the times, we all have to make sacrifices. This is mine. So, what else you got? Oh, by the way, let me mention this real quick. Uh, KRS, yeah, tell him I got 3 questions too.
Maybe that's the next marathon.
Yeah, I heard you guys say that at the beginning before I walked out the room, and when you guys were talking before you got into some of the details, and I thought that was funny.
That's funny. We got 3 questions for you. All right, I'm gonna stop our recording.
Okay, thank you.